Welcome to the Goat's Call, where fear has a voice and darkness listens. Here, you'll witness terrifying true stories, haunted legends, cursed places, black magic, and restless spirits from the edge of the unknown. If you dare, stay till the end. Turn off the lights, plug in your headphones, and prepare yourself for the scream that awakens the dark. This is the Goat's Call. In the silence of night, there are whispers, not heard by humans, but by the spirits that still linger. Nazar Amulet. Buried deep within a forgotten village of Bengal lies a centuries-old curse, where the ashes of the cremation ground still weep, and the air carries the stench of dark magic. Scall. A mischievous boy returning home late one night awakens the slumbering spirits whose place was the grave and whose hunger was for human corpses. Candle. They have no eyes, no blood-stained feet, yet they know exactly who will return home tonight and who never will. Ein Speech Bubble. Black magic, witches, invisible souls, jinns, and the dance of death, where each night a new life is taken. Coffin. Speaking head. This isn't a fantasy. This is a terrifying reality, one that will steal your sleep, your courage, and your belief, dragging everything into darkness. Milky Way. Clapperboard, are you ready? Then turn off the lights, put on your headphones, and begin this journey soaked in fear and death. Crystal Ball. Drop of blood. This is the demon of black magic. In the heart of rural Bangladesh, nestled between dense forests and hauntingly quiet rice fields, there was a remote village called Dalabari. People used to say, no one comes home late in Dalabari, unless they want to invite something back with them. The story begins with a mischievous teenage boy named Ashik. He was the type who'd chase chickens with firecrackers, steal jackfruits from neighbors, and sneak out late into the night, often going near the old cremation ground where dogs howled and people whispered about shadows. Don't go there, Ashik, his mother warned. There are things beyond your eyes. Evil, ancient evil. But Ashik laughed it off. Fire. The night that changed everything. One night, Ashik was returning from a late fishing trip. The moon was missing. The wind smelled like burnt wood. As he passed by the cremation ground, he saw a woman standing alone, back turned, hair hanging low. Who's there? He called. No reply. Then the woman started floating, slowly turning her head completely around without moving her feet. Her face was hollow, no eyes, just black, dripping sockets. Ashik screamed and ran, but when he reached home, his body was cold and he couldn't speak. He fell unconscious. Nazar Amulet's strange happenings began. The next morning, his mother found strange burn marks on his chest, like someone had drawn circles with ashes and blood. At night, Ashik began sleepwalking. He'd laugh in a voice that wasn't his. He spoke in a language no one understood. He whispered about the 20th net, something no one in the village had heard of. But one thing was clear, Ashik had changed. Candle. Grave disturbances. The cremation ground became active again. Dogs refused to go near it. Freshly buried graves were found dug up. Bodies missing. Some villagers began hearing knocks on their doors at 3:33 a.m. Every knock was followed by the sound of something chewing wet flesh. New Moon. The black thread. An old man named Mokles Mia, who had once practiced spiritual healing, told Ashik's mother. It's the black thread of Dalabari, a curse from generations ago. The witches and jinn of this land were sealed beneath that cremation ground with spells. But someone, or something, has disturbed it. He gave her a tawiz, amulet, and said, if your son speaks of 20 nets again, run. But it was already too late. Fear spreads like a shadow. Skull and crossbones. Ashik returns, but is he still human? Though the demon was exorcised from Ashik's body by the Huger's prayer, something still lingered in his eyes. He became quiet, ate less, and whispered in his sleep, you didn't leave me. I'm still calling you. His mother wept and said, there's still a shadow in his eyes. Huger, please do something for him. The Huger replied, I cast one out, but there are 4 more witch demons circling around him. They will return. Busts in silhouette. Shadows of the dead. That very night, a village woman, Rahima Kala, saw the shadow of her husband, who had been dead for 5 years. The shadow stood beside her house and said, you can't hide. I've returned. The next morning, Rahima Kala's body was found beside the pond, completely drained of blood. Another villager, Koka Cha-Cha, said, "I saw someone crawl out of a grave last night, walking backwards. Hole bite marks on the graves." The Huger investigated and discovered that 32 old graves in the village had been dug up overnight. No bodies remained. Beside one grave, there were giant human-like bite marks, too large for any person. The Huger declared, "These are not ordinary spirits. These are black entities created by the devil himself, corpse-eating demons that gain strength from the dead." Footprints. The demons follow Ashik. One night, Ashik stood in the middle of the village and screamed, "They're around me. Can't you see them?" He ran from house to house, scratching his skin, yelling, "My skin is burning." People saw deep, burning claw marks on his back, like he'd been touched by fire. They locked him inside, but by midnight he vanished. Zombie. The flesh-eating spirits return. Next morning, the village school was found broken into. Blood was scattered across the floor, and a message was smeared on the wall. "We've come. From now on, one body per night." For people died in one night. All disappeared after 3 a.m. Doors were broken, but no one heard a thing. Woman mage witches and jinns unite. The Huger announced, "This is the work of a black witch and Kufri jinn, dark spirits who possess humans without being seen." He brought 3 more religious scholars. With the help of the Quran, talismans, and sacred incense, they began building spiritual protection around the village. But the fear only grew worse. Snake. The demon from the well. From the village's old well, where a woman had once been stoned to death for practicing dark magic, emerged a bloody serpent-like demon. That night, a little girl named Rimu had been playing near the well. The next day, her body was found hanging from a tree, her face carved with the words, "The witch has returned. Rimu is my offering." Tornado. The Huger begins the final ritual. The entire village sank into a thick darkness. The air was heavy. The sun disappeared. Deaths occurred every night. The Huger and the other 3 scholars began a month-long spiritual battle to counter the black magic. They dug 7 sites around the village and uncovered 7 jinn graves, used for old rituals involving dark sorcery. Scall. The dead return. One night, Ashik returned again, not walking, but floating. His eyes were closed. Blood dripped from his throat. He said, "I died, but I wasn't its victim. They're using me to finish all of you." Suddenly, a cloud of black smoke burst from his stomach, and he collapsed, dead again. Fire. The climax begins. The Huger communicated with the jinns. They said, "We want freedom, but the Black Witch is using us. Capture her, and we will leave." The Huger discovered the witch's grave, a cursed place of dark rituals. At midnight, the final battle began. The witch's rampage and the devil's grand ritual. Woman mage. The witch's true identity. As the Huger recited from the Quran, he said, "These demons, these terrifying shadows, were created by the witch Jahanara. 300 years ago, a woman in this village was burned alive on suspicion of witchcraft. From her curse, a door of black shadows was created beneath this grave. That door was opened by Ashik's touch, and if it's not closed soon, the entire village will be wiped out. Drop of blood. The death toll rises, people flee. In the next 7 nights, 18 more villagers died. Some had their bones crushed in their sleep, others were burned alive from inside their locked homes, and children began disappearing from their beds. One night, an entire family vanished. All that remained was a message scrawled on the wall. "Your faith is weak. Now I shall come in the open." Face screaming in fear, demons appear in broad daylight. Until now, the spirits had only come at night. But now, in the middle of the day, people saw an old man walking on the village road. His feet never touched the ground. Someone cried, "That's my mother. She died 15 years ago." The Huger said, "The power of black magic has grown so strong that shadows of the dead are now merging with reality. Prayer beads. The witch must be sealed. The spiritual war begins." The Huger declared a plan. They had to dig up Jahanara's original grave and seal the source of the shadow. He assembled a team of 5 Quran reciters, 3 Hafiz, and 7 Islamic scholars. At midnight, the ritual began. As they began digging, the sky roared. Suddenly, the earth trembled, and from the grave emerged a long, black shadow, its voice blazing like fire. Who dared disturb my slumber? I am Jahanara. My curse is eternal. Coffin corpses rise from the graves. Hundreds of old graves split open one by one. The air reeked of rot and decay. The corpses began walking, moving directly against the sound of Quran recit. The gates of the dead open. Derelict house, the curse spreads to the neighboring village. Though Shandupara had grown somewhat quiet, the curse had not stopped. The dark force that escaped through Ashik's actions began to infect the nearby village, Charlalpur. An old woman died there, but 3 days later, people saw her walking through the fields. Some didn't believe it. Others had seen her with their own eyes. The next morning, her grave was found empty. Graves opened by themselves. The people of Charlalpur still didn't believe in superstition. But one night, 12 graves opened on their own. There were no corpses inside. Just one sentence written in the dirt. We did not seek freedom. You called us. Fire the dead returned. Half corpse, half shadow. At midnight, someone knocked on a door. A mother opened it and saw her son, who had died 8 months ago, standing there. His face was half rotten, his eyes staring with an empty gaze. He whispered, "Mom, who buried me?" Coffin, the gate to the world of the dead opens. Huger, the religious scholar, had a dream of a crack in a black stone, with corpses, fire, and screams beneath it. He understood. The gate to the world of the dead had opened. He said, Jahanara was sealed, but her cursed door has reopened. Now a pack of invisible, corpse-eating spirits wearing the faces of the dead have returned. Spiderweb night belongs to the flesh-eaters. These creatures are neither human nor jinn. They are Alakshi, the physical embodiment of black magic. They cannot survive in daylight, but from 2 a.m. to 4 a.m., it's their time. They don't just eat corpses, they eat memories too. One grieving man cried, "I can't remember my son's face. I don't even remember when I buried him." Man wearing turban, the return of the Huger. Huger Yehya returns to Shandupara and warns. This is no longer just jinn and spirits. The door of death has opened. If we don't close it, there will be no boundary between. This is no longer just jinn and spirits. The door of death has opened. If we don't close it, there will be no boundary between the living and the dead. Fire hair-raising encounters, the games of the Alakshi. An old man returning from dawn prayer sees a shadow calling him Father. It was not his son. A schoolboy sees his dead father, but he speaks with an inverted face. A newlywed wife wakes up at night and sees her husband sleeping beside her, but the bed is soaked in blood. Prayer beads, the sacred mission of the Huger. Huger and his 9-member spiritual team perform 40 units of Nafil prayer and begin a sacred battle to seal the gate to the dead. They discover a black cave that connects the 2 cursed villages. Inside lies the main crack of the black door. Collision, the gateway to the world of the dead. At 3 a.m., they enter the black cave. Their bones tremble from the cold. Inside, they hear the voices of the dead, crying, laughing, wailing. At the end of the cave, there is fire, and on the other side of the black door, hundreds of monstrous faces of the dead. They chant in unison, "You woke us from sleep. Now we will steal yours." Fire, final clash, the fall of the Alakshi. Huger steps forward, Quran in hand, and begins his recitation. Allahu Nuris Samawati Walard. La ilaha illahu. Min Sharima Kalak. The black fire shakes, the shadows scream, and the faces twist in agony. The largest shadow yells, "I am not Jahanara. I am the mother of the Alakshi. I live by feeding on your memories." Huger throws his sacred invocations toward the black door. A blast of divine light surges. All the shadows melt at once. The cave trembles. On the ground, a message appears. The living have returned. We sleep again, but not forever. Sunrise over mountains, the final night, a new dawn begins. Shandupara and Charlalpur, both villages, see sunrise once again. Grass grows again in the cemeteries. The foul stench is gone, and the dead no longer return. But now, people go to bed early. Children recite Ayat al-Kursi before sleeping. And Ashik now studies Hifz with the Huger. He says, "Fear is only fear, until faith is weak." The fate of the dead. Nazar amulet, death doesn't stop. Even though the black cave was sealed by the Huger's recitation and spiritual power, Not all the spirits were destroyed. They now sleep, not the kind of sleep that lasts for 1,000 years. They are waiting for a sign, for a time, and for a person. Do you know who that person is? Ashik. Child Ashik's change. The villagers believed everything was back to normal. Ashik now learned the Quran from the Huger, prayed regularly. But one night, he started talking in his sleep. They will return. I didn't destroy them. I was their brother. The Huger realized Ashik was no longer just human. Something still lived inside him. A fragment of a dark jinn. A remnant of the curse. Man-zombie old friends returned. Dead friends, Sharif, Saiful, Russell, who had been buried long ago, appeared one night in front of Ashik. Their faces were rotten, eye sockets empty, teeth long, but they smiled. You forgot, Ashik. You were one of us. You feasted too. Don't you remember? Mitambone Ashik's sinful past. A terrifying truth surfaced. Ashik had once eaten the meat of a dead goat, unknowingly infected with dark magic, possessed by spirits and jinns. That same night, a Kafir jinn entered his body. This spirit was known as Nasharat, a cursed entity that feeds on corpses from graves. Fire's supernatural chaos returns. One night, after the Isha prayer, Huger went to sleep. In his dream, he faced a powerful demon with horns and blood-red eyes. It said, "Your ayat doesn't work on me. I am Nasharat, the prelude to death." That very night, 3 people died in the village. One's body vanished from the grave. Another's half-eaten body was found in the bushes. Prayer beads, spiritual protection fails. Huger realized these spirits were not afraid of ayats anymore. They fed on humans, not just fear. His prayers had no effect. He said, "This time, prayer won't be enough. Blood must be shed. Someone must sacrifice themselves." Puzzle piece. Ashik seeks his past. Ashik confessed to the Huger that he was partially responsible for unleashing the demons. As a child, he had found a black mirror while playing in the graveyard. He used to look at his reflection every day, but it wasn't truly his reflection. It was the spirit of a dead boy, slowly stealing Ashik's soul. Crystal Ball. The black mirror, a gateway for demons. The Huger realized that the real gate wasn't the black cave. It was the black mirror Ashik had found. The mirror, when placed in the graveyard on a full moon night, became a portal where the world of the living and the dead blurred. This year, that night was only 4 days away. Skull. Final preparation, blood sacrifice. The demons agreed to return to their realm on one condition. Someone must kill an innocent with their own hands and splash the blood onto the mirror. Only then would the door close forever. Ashik volunteered to offer his own life. The Huger told him, "You were a mischievous boy, but if you want to end it with peace, you'll need courage." Fire. The final ritual and sacrifice. On the full moon night, Ashik, the Huger, and the villagers unearthed the mirror. Surrounded by fire, Ashik stood in the center. He sliced his hand and spilled his blood onto the mirror, shouting, "Whatever was inside me, I no longer want it. Go back." Suddenly, the mirror shook, fire shot into the sky, and black smoke covered everything. Sparkle's peace begins. When the smoke cleared, Ashik lay on the ground, lifeless. The Huger held him in his arms and wept. But the wind was now calm. Grass began growing over the graves. Then, in the sky, they saw a glowing light, shaped like the verses of Ayatul Kursi. Person in lotus position. The final words. Shandupara was never the same again. No one laughed loudly. Children didn't play outside after dusk. But Ashik's grave was full of flowers. People say, a mischievous boy redeemed his sins and saved an entire world. History written in blood. Dialamp. Is Ashik truly dead? After the announced sacrifice, Ashik's body had gone completely still. Everyone in the village believed he had died. But strange things started happening. New flowers bloomed around his grave almost every day. One night, the Huger saw smoke rising from the grave, and in the dead of night, someone was crying near it. He approached and heard a voice whisper, "I'm not dead, Huger. I'm trapped inside, they're playing with me." Candle. The demons haven't let go. The Huger realized then, Ashik's sacrifice was incomplete. His body remained on earth, but his soul was trapped by the demons. And it wasn't just Ashik. The souls of many villagers who had died were imprisoned. None had found peace in the afterlife. They had become fleshless skeletal spirits, forever spinning in a cursed cycle between life and death. Scroll the search for the ancient book. Huger traveled deep into the hills of Chittagong to visit a revered peer saint who owned a powerful ancient book, Munafatul Jinn wal Hayat, The Secrets of Jinn and Life. Inside it were verses capable of reuniting body and soul, even breaking the bonds of jinns, spirits, and witches. But to perform the ritual, someone had to enter both worlds, life and death. Huger's bold decision. The Huger chose to make the ultimate sacrifice himself. After fasting for 7 days, praying all night, and reciting special invocations from the book, he slowly separated his soul from his body. One night, he laid his body down beside a grave. His soul slipped away into the terrifying realm of the demons, entering the realm of the spirits. What did that realm look like? Bloodstained clouds, air thick with the stench of rotting flesh, and jinns that looked like humans, but with faces turned backward. There, the Huger saw hundreds of trapped souls. Some had knives in their eyes, others were chewing their own throats. In a dark cave within this world, Ashik was imprisoned. Vampire Ashik has changed. Ashik was no longer the boy he used to be. His eyes glowed red, his teeth were long, his body burned with dark fire. He said, "I'm not human anymore, Huger. I belong to them now. Leave me." But the Huger began reciting Surah Falak and Surah Nas. Ashik started crying. His body trembled, and slowly, the dark spirit emerged from his body like black smoke. Fire Final Battle, the Rise of the Black King. As Ashik's soul was freed, the ground shook, something ancient awakened. From the shadows rose a mighty force, the ruler of this realm, known as Balzac al-Khalam, the ancient king believed to be the origin of black magic. He wore a crown made of fire, and his mouth echoed with the cries of 1,000 tortured souls. He roared, "Huger, you broke into my realm. Now I will shatter yours." Change the last verse. The Huger recited the final verse from the sacred book, Allahu Nora Samawati wal Ard. Allah is the light of the heavens and the earth. The moment he uttered it, the demon realm exploded in radiant light. Ashik's soul and the Huger's soul were both pulled back into the world of the living. Sunrise over mountains the final morning, Ashik returns. The next morning, the villagers saw a miracle. Ashik was walking alive. He greeted the Huger with a respectful salam. The sky above the village was clear, and no one ever dared dig a grave again. But the Huger never spoke again. His body still rests beside the grave. Candle final line. The villagers say, demons existed, still do, and always will. But if someone truly changes, seeks light,